Okay, guys, so this is where we left off. So, as I was saying, I believe that God wants us to share our testimony so that, we can encourage others to let them know that they're not alone, they're not by themselves. I wish I had people who could share their stories with me so that whenever I faced certain challenges, I didn't think that I have to handle this on my own or I'm by myself. I wish I had that. And we have an opportunity for that in the church so that the body, you know, um, so that the body is not crippled, you know, the body doesn't suffer. But unfortunately, that's not the case. I remember when the Lord told me that it's very important to share my testimony, share the things, the ugly things that happen in my life, because share the secret things, the things that I've held secret in my life. Why? Because when I do that, it frees me up. You know, a lot of times we don't share things that happen to us because of shame, because of condemnation. We tend to keep it buried deep within because we don't want to be looked at in an obscure way. We don't want to be scrutinized in any way. We don't want to be looked down at. We don't want people to turn up their nose at us in a shameful way. But there is therefore no condemnation in them that is in Christ Jesus. God has taken all my sins, all my curses, and He has given me His holiness, His righteousness, and I'm so grateful for that. And I want to implore you guys, please, please, share your testimony. Don't hold anything secret. Don't keep the devil's secret. Share your struggles. Share the things that you struggle with. Do not keep the enemy's secret. When you close your mouth, you're keeping his secret, because he's keeping you from shouting the alarm for help. And what the devil tells you is that people will look down on you, people will shame you, people will people will treat you like an outcast. That's not true, because more time than none, people will find freedom just by you sharing that. You will help people, you will liberate people just by sharing the things that you have held secret for so long in your life. And that thing will eat you up from the inside. You'll be very surprised that you and someone that you admire has gone through the same experience. People that you look up to and be like, oh my God, I wish my life was like that, or I wish I was like this person, or their life must be nice. You would be very surprised that in the darkness, behind the shadows, they are suffering with the same issue that you yourself is hiding. So I'm imploring you. So this is part 4. this is part 4. So let's start with me in college. Or let's go back here. When I was young, I think I mentioned that in part 3 of the video about me being molested as a child by my uncles and my cousin. So I believe through that molestation, I believe that the spirit of lust arrested me. I believe that I was possessed by the spirit of lust. Growing up, ever since I was young, I found myself being attracted to the same sex. And I grew up around a lot of boys. So my cousins were boys, my uncles, a bunch of uncles. So I liked to be among the boys, right? And And I found myself, ever since I was young, I remember that ever since I was young, I found myself feeling like I'm a boy. And then as I grew older, in my teenage years, I felt like I had an attraction to the female. And I used to cry to God, like, why is my life? My life is completely cursed. Why, from the start to where I'm at, I felt like my life was just cursed because here I am, grew up like that, being abandoned by my mother, being molested by my uncles, feeling like an outcast, feeling like I don't belong, and here I am now, being torn with my sexuality. Like, what is that about? I have God. You don't love me. Like I'm left to the dogs. I'm left to be thrown. Like, God, you don't like me, you don't love me. This is why my life is so hard and so challenging. You can't love me and have me going through all of this. I accuse God, as I said, you don't love me, you can't love me. Anyway, I grew up having that struggle. So I remember now, I was born and I grew up from young in the church. So that awareness of God is there. So here's the conflict. That's the conflict, because I have a fear of God and I have an awareness of God. But the scriptures are saying opposite to what felt natural to me. Like, my natural nature is to be attracted to the same sex. So what is that about? I had no attraction to boys growing up. I'll tell you that much. But the girls, here I am. But I believe that as the older I got and the more revelation I got about how spirits find loopholes and how they possess us, I believe that the spirit of lust had claim on my soul, claim on my life. That spirit had, you have spirits in your family, evil spirits, demonic spirits in your family that feels like they have the right or the license to dominate and to rule in that bloodline. The spirit of lust is very strong among my family members. Very, very strong among my family members. And I felt like they had the right to possess whomever was in my family line. I believe that I am saying this boldly. I believe that every single one of my family members, once they come through that bloodline, the spirit of lust is a spirit that they struggle with because it was so strong. I see it in my uncles, my aunts, my cousins so strongly. So, and I think that spirit felt like it had a right to possess me or oppress me, whichever word you want to use. I feel like it was possession, because when you can feel like it's natural, it's your nature. I used to say it's innate, because I couldn't dissect and separate myself from what I was feeling. I didn't know how to do that. So I felt like it was an innate thing, like I was born this way. Like Lady Gaga says, born this way, which is a lie from the pits of hell. But I felt like I was actually born that way. So I was wrestling between what I thought is my natural, my nature, my innate self, as opposed to the Spirit of God or the words that I'm reading from this Bible that is saying, that's not the way. So I told God, I said, then why would you make me like this? Because you don't know how to break these things, right? So these kind of things in you feels normal, like it's normal. How do I break what is normal? How do I separate myself from what I feel it's innate. It's normal. It's not something I'm trying to put on. It's not an experiment that I'm trying to do. It's a natural inclination or a call to be a certain way or to be attracted to a certain thing. So I wrestled with that. I wrestled for the longest time. And I tried to walk on the straight and narrow. One thing with me, God, you got to give me that, is that I tried in my own strength. I tried. And there came points in my life where I would try to act on experiment, and doors. Listen, God, I love him. I love the Lord. Mm, mm, mm. I love him so very much. There were opportunities that were presented to me so many times, and God would just keep shutting the door, just keep closing it. And I'm talking about opportunities to explore that side of me, you know. And I remember at one point I prayed to God. I said, Lord, just let me try once. Just let me, because, you know, when that thing pulls you in a certain direction, you want to experience it, you want to, but at the same time the hand of God was so strong on me that it braces me back, it pulls me back. So it was like a tug of war, that's what they call it. It was a fight, it was a struggle, it was a war within me. But there are many times that I had opportunities to explore. And every time it got to that point, God would just close the door. And I'm like, and I knew it was God. I knew it was God. And click, close the door. And first one day I said to God, I said, Lord, please. Okay, I made a deal with him. I said, just let me try. And then you can close the door after. Just let me try. And God kept closing the door until one day a door was open, and I wish he didn't open it, because that made it worse. And I think God allowed it to happen so that I understood how far that thing could take me, how much it could destroy my life, how I wished the door was closed. I wish the door was never open in the first place. I wished, but it was too late, because you went over there already. But God kept me. God keep closing doors in my life. I remember wanting to be a part of the world. I remember wanting to, and knowing I don't belong. Because anybody that knows, that knows that God have a hand on them, know that the world will reject them. You know the world is going to reject you. You don't belong. So God closed so many doors. So many doors. Things that I wanted to do, places I wanted to go, and I would always feel odd. I remember even being in certain environments, and sometimes I'm thinking to myself, it sounds good, your friends or people that you're hanging with, they're doing this and it feels exciting, and you're like, yeah. But once you get there, while everybody is having a good time, I'm standing there and be like, what am I doing here? I don't belong. These are not my people. These are not my people. I feel like a fish out of water. I don't belong here, no matter how much, And I believe that God purposely did that because he wanted to separate me unto himself. And he kept closing the door, closing the door, closing the door, closing the door. So I see where God, and I've made decisions in my life that should have taken me out. As a matter of fact, I almost died. Let me give you this story. And it's the first time that I'm even going to come out with it and speak it as is. Once when I was living with my father, maybe I should, oh no, maybe I can share it on this one. So once when I was maybe around 14, 15, at that time, my first guy that I've ever been attracted to was around, I was maybe 14 and he was maybe like 17. But anyway, he lived close by, and I was attracted to him. He was attracted to me a little bit. I think maybe that was going to be like my first kind of boyfriend kind of stuff. And our neighbor, he was acquainted with our neighbor, so he would come by our neighbor and such. At that time, it was the summer, so we were home. Usually the kids, we remain home while our parents go to work and such. So I was the eldest, and of course I had my other 5 siblings that I had to monitor and all of that stuff, even though all of us, we were young. Because if I'm the eldest and I'm 13, 14, my other sister was maybe 13, because we're very close in age. There was an instance where my guy friend, he came over by the neighbor, and I went over there at that time, and I'm speaking this now. Confession is good for the soul. That's what the scripture says. Confession is good for the soul. So I'm confessing. So I went over there with mischief, because I wanted to know what it feels like to kiss a guy. So we went over there. I went over there and we were in the room, and of course we were kissing and all of that stuff. I didn't understand what sex was, and even though, yes, I told you that I was molested, but I still didn't understand what sex was. But we did not have sex. However, we made out, put it that way, right? And I was like, no, I'm done, right? I think he wanted to go to the second round, and maybe, I am not sure, maybe things touched things there. Forgive me. Whatever happened, and we didn't go all the way, but we did make out. Then at the time, there was, we called those people in Jamaica helper. She was hired to take care of the home, like I don't want to say maid, but in Jamaica we call them a helper, like a nanny, right? Like a nanny. And I told her all my secrets. I told her my crush. I told her what happened, all of that stuff. It got back to my friend who lived next door, not knowing that my friend who lived next door was friends with my father's girlfriend. No, my father is married, living with his wife and children, but my father had a girlfriend. And the whole news broke out, and my father heard about all of this stuff. And my father is a very proud man. I know what pride is, guys. When I talk about pride, when I'm able to identify pride, I am able to do so because I was brought up by a very proud man. So I know what that looks like. And to save his reputation, of course he was livid, he was mad, but to save his reputation, he decided to really beat me down, and literally beat me down. beat me down to the point where I almost died. My father, and he's gonna have to answer to God for that, but he beat me to a pulp. He broke my jaw. My my jaw was twisted for months, and refused to take me to the hospital because, of course, that would be like a loss. Like maybe number one, that would be very embarrassing for him to take me to his doctor and to expose that he beat his child to that point, and maybe it would have gotten into got the law involved. So I was home with a twisted jaw for months. Died, almost died. I remember at one point while he was kicking me and punching me and all of that, I remember I knew my spirit left my body. There's no doubt about that. I knew my spirit left my body because I blocked out. I was not conscious of anything that was happening anymore. But I knew when my spirit entered my body, because I remember me waking up and feeling kicks in my stomach. And my father almost killed me. But God preserved me. God preserved me. Today, I wouldn't be here telling you my testimony. But God preserved me. It was a miracle. And I was able to heal. My jaw was able to heal by itself miraculously without having any sorts of medication or any form of changing anything. I remember knowing that my jaw is lean. It's like this, nothing is aligned. But God saved me. God preserved me. The enemy has been after me ever since I knew myself. And everything that he put in front of me, I keep overcoming. I keep overcoming. I keep overcoming. I have toyed with the idea of just ending it all. Many times, like I would consider it and I would talk to God, but I should say that I felt like God didn't love me for a long time in my life. I felt like, just like how everybody don't love me, even in my family, having that rejection syndrome and that abandonment, I felt like God didn't love me, especially because I didn't have a mother growing up, having that trauma. You look at God the way that you look at God through the experiences of human beings. You look at God through the experiences of human beings that should be there for you. If they're not there for you, then you kind of see God in that light too. But as I grow in my spiritual walk with God, I understand it's like He reveals to me the things that I escape, and even just to point to them and say, I was the one who did that. I did that. This is what, 23 minutes. I am going to continue in the next video. I don't want to give you this big video. I'm going to split them up. So this here is part 4. I will be making part 5 and I will be uploading it. Remember to like, share, and subscribe, and share it with other people, and leave your comments. Please leave comments. As I'm reading through the comments of the videos that I've posted, I realize that, wow, what I'm saying is really making an impact, because it's encouraging, others and people from all walks of life. But leave your comments. You never know what it can do to someone who is reading it. Your comments can free someone, and you never know. And this is why it's important to do not keep your struggle secret. It's like you keeping the enemy's secret. Like he's saying, this is our secret. This is a secret between you and I. Let's keep it that way. No, you must expose it. You must speak it so that you'll be free from it. Anyway, this is part 4. And I'll see you in part 5. Okay.